Hey traders, welcome on back here this Thursday, February 12th. Great to see Genevieve, who clocked in just a beautiful trade just before BNAI. That's a nice mover just now there. Great to see Genevieve, Leda, Michael, got Roberto, Tom, you got Scott, you got Dell, Ronnie, you got Uday, Guy, got all of us here just joining us. Farzad as well. Didn't want to leave him hanging, and all of us here though otherwise. Debbie as well, great to see you. And hey, give me a quick chat back. Let me know if you got me here, not just inside our live trading room, but also on social. Facebook Live, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, etc. The internet streets, as I like to call it, but otherwise collectively on social, known as Cyber Trading U. Interesting, a little night event I'll be doing a little bit on my own, like Twitter. We'll link it up with Cyber Trading UX account. It's more of like a Spaces event, talking about the stock IBRX. So chatting on that later tonight myself. Otherwise though, listen, we have killed it today. A lot of good shorts that we've been trading though. You could buy puts, you could short the common. Not only that, you could also look to buy the inverse. Kevin, I think just before on the silver inverse, it's just a little slow, but he has a good entry on it. So it's just grinding on up a little bit there. You got a few other, inverses that were moving up earlier today too, though. Rocket Lab, just a stock that we've been doing all right on, up and down, recently down. So it's been a good short. This is just the inverse to it. MicroStrategy has the inverse to it as well, MSTZ. This is kind of making a lower high just now, or at least double top, pulling back a little bit, but good morning move, right? So remember, there's a bunch of different ways that we can make money in a down market. It's not just shorting. Remember, not everyone here has a margin account, so you might not be able to short the common stock. And if you're not familiar with trading options, then we'd rather you focus on the stock first, at least. It's the underlying move of a stock that affects the premium, whatever you're doing on the put or call. So, people like to go to options because it's cheaper. Okay, it's cheaper. Maybe you could leverage it more, perhaps, if you get it right place, right time. Trust me, I've hit my head on the floor the hard way a few times on trading options at first. You got to know how to trade the stock before that. And then also you got to lower the IV at least on those contracts there either way. Now with that in mind though, again, you could trade the inverse ETF. You got that. But otherwise though, we've had a couple great trades going completely against the grain when the markets have been pulling back today, like the FSLY. This thing's just out of control in a good way, actually. But it's out of control. This is just up 88% now. It's on the way up to 100 seemingly. But the good part about this trade that makes it awesome, this has a perfect order book, great spread. Even right now, it's on a 1 to 2 cent spread. Even that's after the extended run that it had. Now, just recently, I was on a coaching session with one of our students earlier today, and you never know what we're going to end up catching here, at least, throughout the morning, throughout the day. And, I brought this up yesterday. I was bringing up this discussion at least a little bit. I was working with a student yesterday that's located in the Netherlands, and it's a little bit tougher for them to accommodate to like the prime time trading hours here in the US. Long story short there. Well, going into the dead time of the day, as long as you use strategy well, as long as you don't just impulsively jump in, there could be a couple great trades to work with. Just keep disciplined. So this was the perfect example of that. I mean, this stock moved up earlier today, mind you, but right at 11:30 in the morning, I was telling you, Guy and myself are looking to see FSLY flip this resistance here, 1517, from resistance into support. And then from there, that led to the entry. And I'll just show you this for a quick moment, but this is what I mainly cover privately, otherwise more in our phase 2 and phase 3 classes. Where are we? FSLY. All right. So the issue on this trade actually was that you didn't really have good iceberg orders on this stock, not up until at least 1575 and 16. So, I didn't really want to have to wait that long to see a breakout of that. I figured that might take a while. Now, I'm not just jumping in. So I'm just being patient. Real quick, for all of us here inside our live trading room, this is more for you here. Barbara, Tim, Deb, great to have all of us here. Everyone see the green dots? You got the green dots on the right, on the left side of my screen here. Dyslexic there. On the left side of my screen, you got those green dots. Okay, so notice that we didn't really see too many green dots, really at all for a while until right here. Right? Oh, wait, is that the one? Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. 1517. 77,000 share print. So that popped up right at 10:55 in the morning. From there, it just led to a great resistance. The more it kept getting tested. From there, led to a pretty strong breakout. What was it? 1517. Yeah, right here at the time, right? So couple knocks on the door, and it's just nice to say it, but right time here. Ended up jumping in on smaller size at first, right? Yeah, it was 200 shares, right at 15.19. Ended up taking half the trade out a little bit earlier, got out in full just beforehand because we had a resistance right around 17.20. Now, though, it seems like it's obviously above it. There could be more on this trade. So the next resistance on the stock, at least going into our afternoon, is pretty much right around this 1840-ish. You got a nice gap there to fill potentially over time. I don't know how long that would take, even if it tries to make that move. So, for the time being, hey, is it a good stock to work with for the afternoon? I think it's the best stock to work with so far. I mean, we're going to go through our gainers and losers list here, but this could definitely just be on the top of our list, number one at the end of it. I mean, it's a great tradable stock. Ideally, for myself, I would like to send for us in our room. Well, if you're in it already, if you're still in hanging on to some shares, I'm rooting you on. But listen, if this could pull back down to like 1710-ish, 1720-ish to see a support test, I would love to get the bounce from there and then the move up higher into the close. But either way, we'll see where it goes. All right. We also did great on a couple other trades. I got out on the JDXG trade here. This is like number 4. So let's just go right from top to bottom here now at this point, see what we can build up. This thing here, CGNX. Beautiful chart. Gosh, that is as good looking of a chart as you can ask for. A $59 stock. So I know it's not going to cater to everybody. Let's give it the eyeball test here. About like 20, 30 seconds, right? And just check the spread. Is it going to open up recklessly like 25, 15-cent spread? Or, is it going to be around 1 cent, 5 cent? It's a more expensive stock, so to say. So if it opens up a little bit like this, not the worst thing in the world. So if it remains pretty consistent, at least within 1 cent, 5 cent spread, we'll put it on our watch list for now. I love that chart. So it's just more of a Fausto flag. Just focus on the chart more than anything. And then alongside that, you probably do have big resistance at 60. Probably have an iceberg seller up top there anyway. All right, this is done. This was a great trade earlier today. Man, this was like watching the grass grow. So, it's just to say, if you got out on the stock earlier before it made this move up, I don't blame you. This was like, watching paint dry was more enticing, right? I wrote that to my student Philip earlier. So this was just thankfully with higher lows, you get the move up. Could have obviously broken down though, and I had my stop set. But like, hey, when a few of us were trading the FSLY in the first hour of the morning, I didn't jump in on that. I was kind of like on this, and I was stuck in a little bit. Here I was in from 161, so it was a decent enough spot where I'd gotten in from. But I was down a little bit, a couple of pennies on the dollar at first. But the higher lows kept me into the trade, and now at this point, I just think this stock's done. Normally, these small cap stocks you can't trust as far as you could throw. I'm not in the business of shorting these things. For as much as they do potentially go down, quickly, just you don't want to be on the wrong side of that coin. Real quick, Leda, Michael, Tim, got Barbara, Deb, all of us here in the chat right now. How much lower could this stock technically go down to? What's the bottom on this thing here? 0, right? Well, let me ask you. What's the ceiling? Leda says the sky. I like that answer, Leda. What do they say? The sky is the limit. I actually have it on my body here, and not a little TMI. One of my tattoos on my body. It's actually a quote: "The sky is not the limit; it's just the view." How about that? So infinite, exactly. So it's like I'm not in the business of shorting these things. Listen, this thing dropped off. Could have made money on it going down. Either way, move on to other trades. You don't want to be stuck on them on the way down, though. That's for sure. So these are flavor of the day type of trades. That's all they are. Moving on from them after. It was like the trade from yesterday, NCI. That was a great pop up yesterday. Yeah, crashed back down, but we're just moving on to something else then at that point. NVCR is filling the gap technically. So, Michael, you're probably on this as a short already. I'd imagine you'd be. Stock is pretty tradable. Good spread. I don't know if it's going to really continue to drop all the way down, but it actually seems pretty decent here. It's obviously proven a lot of selling pressure here thus far. And I don't know how confident I would be to see this bounce here from this area just now going into the close. So there might be actually more downside room from this point. I'll come back to it. I'd rather short stocks that are like on the losers list, but that's literally at the low of the day. That's like where you want to have it on the chart. So Crocs, ugly shoe, nice chart. That's all I can say on that. Actually, also an ugly order book. It's not as tradable, but otherwise, they've obviously done pretty good today. Good swing, seemingly. Light path, also a nice push up earlier today. This more tradable, good chart, higher lows, decent enough order book. So we'll put this on our list too. Nice one here. So we got 3 decent trades so far. You got the FSLY, the CGNX, albeit more expensive, and now light path. So 3 pretty decent trades. That's even before going into all the inverse stuff. So obviously you got ZSL, silver dropped off earlier today. This might look to make another push. Iridium, IRDM, another stock just at the high of the day today. So also kind of a thin book. Be careful on that. The thin book here. This is potentially going to open up the spread. So give it the eyeball test if you're going to try and trade this here. But kind of hard to ignore for now. Gold down, dust inverse gold mining ETF going up. ScanDisk technically up percentage-wise today, but not really the nicest chart here. All right, I think that now we've kind of done our damage here across the gainer side. We can skim through more freely here. NKTR, again, just it's all about liquidity, so pass on it for now. Probably got to drop the price range here just to have it like with like less expensive stocks, but overall, probably not going to find as much on the gainer side anyway. Hop over to the losers list right now, though, as well. See if there's any good shorts. We'll also go back to those inverse like tickers, those inverse ETFs, but ONCO, ONCO How about that? APPX, so app loving down big today. So this is a little bit more expensive for what we would normally trade. You got the APPX ETF. It's hard to borrow. So I don't know if you can really get shares to short that. There might be just better trades to work with. Not really the greatest order book. Near the lows, this QDEL stock. But listen, we got a couple other good shorts to work with, though. Of course, the markets are still pretty beat up, pretty weak here today. Huge drop, a lot larger of a drop off than I was thinking. So up and down, up and down. We've been in like a whipsaw the last 2 weeks now at this point, I feel. ASTS has been a good short today. It looks like it just broke a lower low a moment ago, but back into this area. Listen, if it could pull back below this 8150-ish, I think that there could still be a decent short on this trade. We did see the Rocket Lab, just a moment ago, and this is another space stock. So let's just go through here, kind of cherry pick across like the loser side here. Which ones look the best? Which more within our price range, honestly. So USAR at the low of the day there, that's been nice move down, rare earth stock. If you're in our room, you know that we've been calling out this SMR trade quite often here going into the afternoon. Just a moment ago, late, I know you were talking about it. Mocktailed in the morning was looking at the SMR trade at least. Oh, whoops, that's not the right snipping tool. Give me a sec. But just before, hey, what led me to jump in this year from the 1485 level? Looking to see a short on SMR if it breaks under 1485. Well, so it's always what we fall back to in terms of levels, icebergs and big transactions. So we had a big buyer get filled, broken through here, support get broken through right at 1485, and that was at like 120 in the afternoon. That post that I made was at 51. So just a short while afterwards, nice break. So here we are now. The only issue I have on my short trade here with SMR is that it's kind of like going into this area here back from March of last year. That's to be like right around 1443, 1440-ish. We're getting close. So there's a chance it could kind of hold there and then go back up right here. So I may look to cover my short soon enough here, but I'm going to put this on our watch list. I'm also going to put the USAR on our list as a potential short. So those rare earth stocks, right? I mean, Tim, I know you were a fan of Amy for a little while here, and it's not fully at that support just yet. Kind of bounced from it a little bit earlier today, but listen, if this could break below 718, this thing will crap out pretty nicely as a short. So and be prepared for those things. I mean, that could be a good tradable opportunity there. Not going to put it on our list just yet, but it's something to look forward to. The CRML is the other rare earth stock there, right? Yeah, it's not really doing as much. TMC, nah. All right, so the USAR is definitely by far the weakest of those rare earth, precious metal type of stocks. I had a brain fart for a second. I was thinking OKLO, nuclear. That goes with the SMR. That's what it was. What else? Nuclear, AI, quantum. That's also what I was thinking about. I barely had my coffee today, so I've been stumbling a little bit today, folks. I got to get my coffee poured. Rigetti is kind of holding over 15 for the time being. It is near the lows, but I'll keep this on our side list for the time being. We'll come back to it if we need to. TME taking a hit here today, not TMC, but TME. Another quantum trade here, quantum scape. U is taking a hit. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the stock, guys. I'm not talking about you. All right. Before the tomatoes are thrown at me, I'm sorry. Got the corny jokes today. But it is to say, though, this thing took a huge hit yesterday. It was a great short up until the afternoon. And then it became a decent little bounce. But otherwise now, right back down here. So I'll add this U trade back to our watch list. SLV perking back up a little bit now. Roblox. You might get a small little bounce in the market, perhaps. All right. Nothing really too impressive otherwise for the time being, folks. Let me know if there's anything I missed. Maybe there is something very impressive or something great out there that I didn't have the chance to look at. Bill, Barbara, Leda, Tim, Guy, got Uday, Dill. I got all of us here in chat right now. Just let me know, and we'll take a quick look. Barbara, there you go. I like that quote from Barbara joining us on YouTube. She's now one of our members here inside our trading room, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, perhaps. Barbara, great to see you back here. But she says, if the sky is the limit, the more are there footprints on the moon? I like that. Right? It kind of falls in line with what, my tattoo there. The sky is not the limit. It's just the view. So pretty catchy. I like that. All right, folks. Let me just check Denzinga here really quick before we finish up. I had to redo my scanner here on this thing. It kind of reset on me. I'm kind of pissed. But let's take a quick look. JDZG, JX, or JZXN. Nothing really too great here that's like been pushing up the last 5 or so minutes. On the way down. Oh, I got to edit that there too, so I can't really use that. All right, you know what? I think that we pretty much got it here, folks. Let me go back to some of the side list stocks as we wrap up. There were a couple I wanted to jump to, if not jump back to. So I didn't really have a chance to go over like the larger cap stocks. Tesla's, not down 5%, but it's at the lows. So I could easily put a focal point on Tesla for the afternoon. Lower highs, lower lows. Upstart got beat up bad yesterday. I actually do see that on the bottom right of my scan there, but it's kind of crawling back up. Apple, Amazon, Netflix. Netflix, I guess, bounced a little bit there, but got killed earlier on today. You know what? That Tesla trade kind of stood out a bit. What the hell's going on with Tesla? They're down like 2.5%. Some trades are at least starting to bounce better. So if the markets pull back more, it's a bit more speculative, but I wouldn't mind putting a focus on Tesla in that case. So I'll put it on the back side of our watch list for right now. Oh, Jason, there we go. IBRX chatter, right? Absolutely. I'll be talking about IBRX 7 o'clock Eastern time tonight on X. Looking forward to that. Listen, it's going up a little bit right now. I love to see that. Big fan of that. Just right now, we've seen it trade better as far as like a day trade type of stock. I'm kind of focused on that for our members directly inside our live trading room currently. It's been an unreal swing, though. So if you see on the top right of my position manager there, my platform, so we've been talking about it since mid-January, coming off the Antiva news. So still riding out like 3/4 of my position from three. As a day trade today, we've seen a trade better, but it's teeing up for like a nice breakout here soon. So I think that we'll get a push up to 8 in due time. All right, looking at Bitcoin entry anytime soon, asks Uma Insider Live Trading Room. Unfortunately, not at this time. Uh, I got to see just a lot more chop and consolidation to see true support building. There is just so much wackiness going on within not just the Bitcoin market, but U.S. equities now, obviously, as you see today. So I am not confident at all in terms of Bitcoin price action. Give it like more time. The more time that plays out, then we'll see at least more levels and better levels to play out there. ROL, it's like kind of squeezing up a little bit. If you're already in Leda, I'm rooting you on. BEMU, SNDK, they're all kind of just floating around in the middle there right now, Teresa. So, those don't show as much direction, at least. The ROL was kind of inching up there later for the time being. But, either way, for those right now, kind of all put those on our side list there. All right. And hey, it's good that you're asking. I appreciate you asking, right? The more that you participate, the more that you kind of go through the motions with us, you'll know exactly what we're looking for at this time of the day, right? So thank you. Netflix been going up since hitting 75.20. Yeah, I kind of poked at that just a second ago, Tim. So, if you caught a good bounce around that reversal time or delayed a little after, then you're looking pretty good. Just, nice stock that has good volume, right? All right, folks. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of stocks that seem to be that way right now. So, you know what I always say? Not even to say start and stick with the list. I guess I did just say that. But, if we put stocks like Netflix on our list looking like this, there's a lot that looks like this. And that's not a bad thing. It's just that we'll build up like a 55, 75 stock watch list. So we got to keep things simple to a certain degree, right? So I like what we got here, folks. I'll pretty that list up for us in just a bit. And then you got Rich on the mic taking you into the close. I'll be on a private coaching just once more with one of our traders here into the afternoon. So if I do jump into anything, we'll let you know. But otherwise, folks, trade safe and take care.